All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday edition of Lambas Who Roll Live 39. I'm your host, Dr. Ednan, with my co-hosts Fernando and Diego. What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing today?
What's going on, guys?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Not bad. It feels it's been a while since we've been on, and it kind of feels a little strange not meeting every week. But this will be the new norm for everybody who's listening and watching. We're going to be meeting every 2 weeks instead. Got a couple things working on the background, so we're going to shift to a 2 week episode every 2 weeks, and then maybe later on during the year we'll see if we go back to the weekly thing. But for now, we have a couple other projects that we got to work on. So, but with that said, what's going on? How's your week been?
Fernando, what you got going on?
It was good. I did some training. My school, they started a new fundamentals class at 8 o'clock. Since I was off that day, I was able to go. I learned a lot doing a lot of wrestling, man.
Nice.
That is tough. I mean, I that is one tough sport, man. That wrestling, the level changing, like towards the end, I was done. I was like, I don't want to do anything the rest of the day. I was
Matt, as drills, as
like
warm ups,
drills,
or
so
like what?
I think it was kind of geared because to that. I mean, I could be wrong. If anybody's out there listening from Capital, feel free to correct me. I think it was kind of geared towards the wrestling aspect because there was a competition on Saturday or yesterday. So I wonder if that's why they were doing a lot of takedowns, stand-up takedowns, things like that.
There's always a good reason too.
Yeah, and wrestling is good. I mean, it's kind of hard for me, like especially those. I don't even know what to call it, but like when you kind of get on like your knee touches like the mat and stuff like that. I have like crappy knees, so it's like really hard for me to do. I try to make do with it, but I mean, it was good though. It was good learning experience. I always want to add that to it, especially if I do plan to compete. Having that stand up, doesn't hurt. And then I got another class in, not as much training as I wanted to. Kind of got lazy this week. That's my fault, because I had opportunities to go and I had chances to go, but I was just like, I don't feel like it today, things like that. So, but I hope to get back to it, this week. I'm gonna definitely do more than two for sure.
That's what's up, man. No, yeah, the wrestling is exhausting. Even the drills.
Yeah, no, wrestling is completely an unknown territory for myself. It's fun though. I do enjoy it a lot, but it is taxing. It's extremely taxing. It's funny that you talk about wrestling because it kind of maybe leading into what we want to discuss. The goal today was to kind of share about our thoughts on fight to who's number one that happened on Friday, which had a good amount of wrestling. I mean, showcasing a lot of wrestling, those neckties, and just trying to get on the inside to take down, and it's tough, man. I don't enjoy it too much but it does definitely build a different level of character. I think who was it? One of the fights this weekend on 270. The wrestler that went against the Brazilian cat. What was his name? He was
UFC?
a guy from UFC guy.
Was it a prelims?
It was a prelim card. I'm trying to look up his name right now. Tony Gravely.
Oh yes, yeah,
He was just wrestling the whole time,
Yeah.
and man, somebody who would be doing that over and over again, I can't imagine. His cardio must be on point, bro.
Yeah,
He was just taking the guy down.
He was just man. He was just
taking him down.
slipping him, taking him down over and over again. The other guy was Oliveira was like going for his neck every single time with the guillotine, but he kept on just taking him down, slipping out of the guillotine, and just controlling the mat, controlling the ground, and he just kept on doing it for 3 rounds, 15 minutes, man. It's just, and when he was done, and he looked like he was ready to go another 15 minutes.
Yeah, another 2 more rounds. Yeah.
Bro, he was definitely in shape. So, but yeah, I mean, it's tough though. It's tough, but it's fun. But I think it's needed for sure, especially if you want to develop your
for sure. I mean, the workout, just standing up, just drilling, is tiring.
Yeah, that was one of the drills. Sprawling. Oh man.
I mean, but it's It's definitely great for competition. So, like I said, it's a good reason to.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. It gives you a sense of confidence, especially since you got to stand up in the beginning of a match.
Mhm.
To
but
be
if
able
you
to.
know your limitations of like your knees and stuff,
Yeah,
let's say you can't. Obviously, you're gonna adjust to that. That takes obviously precedence for everything else.
Yeah, and
You know?
speaking of wrestling, one that is Corey Standman versus Nurmagomedov, where he
oh,
tried
sorry,
to shoot for a double leg and got caught like
in the
now. So
quick
I wanted to
guillotine,
talk to you
47
guys like
What he
so
got?
when you
What he got knocked out?
he got
No,
guillotine.
guillotine.
Mm.
What's the right way to go in for a blast double leg? Because I like, are you supposed to keep like your head up to like how do you prevent that? Because I mean, he went like I mean, he might as well just gave his
Yeah,
neck
yeah.
to
Well,
Nurmagomedov.
I mean, with someone like Nurmagomedov at that level, who's probably drilled that over and over again, you're probably going to get caught, even if you do it right, right? Um, I think if he would have shifted his head, put the forehead on the hip
Mm,
instead, rather than kind of having the head onto the side. I mean, he looked like his head was up, and that's obviously the reason why he got caught. Um, but I
And
think if
people
he would
study
have,
this stuff,
yeah, I think the forehead should
So
have hit the hip instead, rather than the head coming off to the side. So that way, you know, with the connection with the forehead on the hip, his neck is not exposed. But that's not to say that Nurmagomedov couldn't have recognized that happening as well and forced the head to the side too. So it's a difficult situation. He also had to have the fence behind him too. So when he tried to, shoot for that last double, he had the fence that stopped him a little bit, I think too. So it wasn't like he had the space to really finish it.
mm,
Um, but
I've
yeah, I
seen
was,
I've seen good wrestlers do like different entries that may seem like, oh man, this is not good for jiu-jitsu, but for them, like, is good. For
yeah,
them, they know how to transition. So at the end of the day, I think like, it's really up to the wrestler, man,
yeah,
of
mhm.
how they can recognize that threat, For them, the way that they see wrestling is probably, you know, how we may transition into jiu-jitsu
yeah.
or in jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? Like you see how they spin off, like when they go and take down and they miss it, they spin off to the side.
Mhm.
Like
Got the
they do
angles.
some nice stuff, man. So I mean obviously the drilling and all that practice,
Years of repetition.
yeah.
Hmm.
Like their practices and drills are crazy.
Yeah.
Like seeing them yesterday was like I wouldn't have watched the match to be honest with you,
Mhm.
and I fast forward a lot of it, man. Like it was standing, I'm sure it's tiring, I'm sure it's exhausting, but they were standing the whole time,
For which one?
pretty
Which
much
one?
For
a
who's
few of the
number one?
matches. Yeah,
UFC or who's
WNO,
number one?
WNO, yeah.
Oh
Who's number
yeah,
one?
probably Nicky Rodriguez versus El Monstro.
Oh
Probably
yeah, there were that was a standing match for
yeah,
a very long. I mean,
15
the
15
whole
minutes.
thing. I
minutes.
think. Yeah, the
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing.
15 minutes. Yeah.
The whole thing. Craig Jones also pretty
Hmm.
much all of it until he pulled,
Full
for a few
guard.
seconds,
Which he said he
Um,
wasn't gonna do.
Yeah.
But
but that's what cost him, right? That's pretty much what cost him the fight because of the transition, the passing,
Yeah, he
the
got passed.
control.
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, but I think they're testing themselves out too, right? You got a ADCC coming up later this year in September, and I think like, at least for Craig Jones, in my opinion, he's trying to test, what he's working in the gym, right? And against a person like Pedro Marino, who's a world champion no-gi, uh, you know, level competitor, and to have to kind of work his stand up, trying to test his skills of what he's learning. I think that was the game plan for this match. I'm not sure if he was. Obviously, he wants to win. I think everybody wants to win, but I think this was an opportunity for him to kind of test what he's been working on. And I mean, he looked good. He looked pretty decent. He looked very strong on in the wrestling exchanges, but I still think he still doesn't really know how to set it up too good. And at the end, he just kind of resorted into pulling guard. Just kind of, I think, as a reflex, really. I don't know if he really intended to do that. I think it was just more of a reflex.
Who, Craig
Um,
Jones?
yeah, the
Yeah.
Craig
And,
Jones match.
and I also think that
No, I'm
referee.
saying, but
Um,
Craig Jones himself, like he didn't know how to. He wasn't shooting in or setting up.
Nah, yeah,
mm,
you can see him, trying to tie up the neck. But you didn't really see him snapping down and kind of going for or faking, changing levels or anything like that. I'm not sure what he was trying to do. I think he was, he
Well, they
has
said like
maybe.
he was, yeah,
Right,
they said like he was trying to just wrestle and not pull guard, right?
right. That
Yeah.
was his. That's what he said. He said, I'm never pulling guard again." Right, and that's when Mikey Musumeci like
Which
in
I'm
the
glad
interview.
he did pull guard. To be honest with
Yeah.
you,
Well,
Because it
I
would have
don't
been
think he
like
pulled.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it made it a little bit more exciting, right?
I mean,
Because it would
yeah,
have
like
been
I'm very happy that he pulled guard because at the end of the day, I'm like,
you got to
I
see some
understand the
jiu-jitsu.
wrestling, man. Like I beautiful wrestling, and I
Right,
understand like the control and the standing and the shooting in and up and down. Like
but
yo,
it's a jiu-jitsu match.
much respect to that. Like you appreciate that when you do it or you have to do it here, right? Like
Right,
I may not be as athletic to do it as often or that much or whatever the case may be for competitions. It is a reason to, and it's important for that.
yeah.
But I didn't want to see a standing match the whole
No,
time.
I
You know,
agree. I agree with you as a
you
fan.
can kind of see like a little bit more of those details. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like the
right.
actual grappling because the stand up and the thing is that even in the wrestling, you can't really connect like a wrestling match because it's different rules, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like even a wrestling match is more exciting than a stand up grappling match.
right, right. Yeah, no, I agree. As a fan, as a spectator, you definitely want to see jiu-jitsu. And I think when he hit the ground and Craig started playing jiu-jitsu, and you had Mourinho trying to pass, everybody got more excited. Even the commentators seemed to be more excited. And yeah, and of course, and
Yeah,
then especially after coming after the Nicky Rod fight with Elgin Cruz, which was just 15 minutes of them just
just
grabbing their
standing.
necks, not
Yeah,
really doing
like
anything,
yeah.
right? Maybe the
Hmm.
last 30 seconds, both of them were shooting a little bit more, but really nothing happened. Um, yeah, I think as a spectator, you wanted to see jujitsu, so I agree with you. I didn't mind that happening at all, but I think what I was trying to say is the purpose of Craig Jones playing the way he played was to kind of test his skills for a bigger and better tournament too, right? To kind of see if how he's going to do against higher level wrestlers at that ADCC level. So I think that's kind of the goal.
Which
He was
is
just trying to
awesome.
show that. Yeah, but you could tell he still has a lot to work on. And honestly,
Yeah,
if going into ADCC, I would play your A game, and focus on pulling guard and going for your
Leg
leg
locks.
entanglements.
Yeah.
Yeah, your leg locks and just going for that. I think that's where you're going to have your major success. I get that you want to wrestle, and I know the rule set for ADCC is different, you know, but at the end of the day, I think you're a
but
specialist.
if he connects that with everything
Yeah,
else,
but it's gonna take time. It's gonna take
yeah,
time,
yeah.
right? It's
But
just like anything in jiu-jitsu, right? Wrestling takes a very long time, a lot of hours drilling. Your body has to be in a certain level of condition for that because you could play jiu-jitsu when not being like 100% in shape, like hardcore wrestler shape, right? But those blast doubles, though that
Level
pummeling and
changes,
the level changes and all that stuff takes a lot
sprawling.
on your body. Yeah, man. And not just you doing it for the dominant position, but
But
defending
defending.
that.
Yep.
But defending that, bro. If you have somebody who's a good wrestler and you're constantly sprawling and it's so taxing. And that's just a different level of cardio, a different level of
you can
preparation.
tell they were both exhausted.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
both
Oh yeah.
exhausted.
Nicky Rod
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Nicky Rod looked
He was
yeah,
he
breathing
was
through his
gassed out
mouth.
after his 5 minutes, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they were
and
both done.
but I would have loved to see Nikki kind of pulled guard maybe and kind of just test his skills in that level, right? Everybody knows he's a decent wrestler.
That's what
We've
I'm
seen what he's
saying.
done, but you test your skills and on that level and let Cruz
Yeah,
try to pass it and see what's up, But
yeah, man. That's what I'm
it-
saying. Like to at least try both.
yeah,
I mean, 15 minutes of standing is great, but
yeah,
did you really test yourself? Like
right,
who really, like technically who really won?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I gave it,
I'm not, yeah, man. Honestly, like, what is the engagement to
yeah,
show that all I had to do was keep you away and send up with you and know that I can muscle you to a certain degree.
yeah,
Hmm.
That's
yeah,
all it is, to be honest with you. And a
yeah,
necktie that you can slip off of because you're sweaty.
Yep.
yeah, yeah. I would have liked to see a little jiu-jitsu.
Not to downplay the match because obviously, again, their jujitsu, their
World
wrestling or
class.
whatever the
Yeah.
case may be,
Yeah,
right? But
I
you wanted to
honestly,
see a little bit something different.
I think on that particular match with Cruz and Nicky Rod, I think both of them wanted a W. You know, I think Nikki wanted to go walk out there with the W, and then Cruz obviously wanted a W with being Nicky Rod is a big name,
The
right?
big name, yeah,
It's
put
a big
himself
name.
out there.
Exactly. So he played it safe, right? He stayed on the outside, kept on pushing Nicky when he came in. He tied in a little bit here and there, but he himself didn't do anything. I would have preferred him, either pull guard and let him start passing, and then come wrestling up, either taking his back or something like that. That would have been better. Nicky, on the other hand, you see all his videos, you've seen his matches. He doesn't really pull guard, but this would have been a great time for you to try to do that, especially after a significant amount of time of nothing happening. I think they should have changed it up a little bit and giving the fans something a little different. But yeah. I when I watched the fight after that fight, I was a little disappointed. I kind of, but the right person won. I think honestly, at the end of the day, when it came to the decision, Cruz, yeah, he'll get the nod. Obviously, just being able to withstand some of Nicky Rod's pressure. Obviously, he was a lot smaller too and stuff like that, and being able to kind of go tit for tat with him and just get the nod. That's fine. On the other side with Jones and Marinho, when he pulled guard, Marinho passed his guard, right? He did it. He passed. He got to north south.
North South, yep.
Craig was able to get back up. Not really get to his strong spots, but at the end of the day, I think that small exchange that happened during that small period of time was enough for Pedro to get that night, and he looked good, man. He looked strong, man. I never seen him before. He looks. They said he's a brand new black belt, but obviously he's been doing a lot on the underbelts. And this is the first time I really saw him, but he looked very strong, really good. I'd love to see him under different rule settings where you could risk it a little bit more. I'm probably gonna go back, maybe watch some of his IBJJF matches too and stuff, and see what he's all about, because he looked pretty good, man. So. But yeah, that's fight to win. So who else on fight? Excuse me, who's number one? Sorry, and who's number one was exciting. What fight really stood out? Like,
you guys are gonna say I'm biased, but I really thought that the Tubby Alakin versus Brianna St.
I knew
it.
You're gonna say, man.
I thought it was the best fight.
I agree with you. That was the fight of the night for sure. I think so. Both girls were going for it,
Yeah.
And those toe holds look bad, really bad.
I would have tapped too.
Did you see that fight, Diego? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Fight?
Yeah.
I
saw really once you told me to see. I watched all of it.
Obviously, we know about Tubby. Tubby's really good. She's an ADCC.
That was a very technical, and that was a very good match.
Yeah. And it was crazy too, because last Saturday we were learning in class the John Wayne sweep, and I think Brianna St. Marie had hit that same sweep on Tubby. I'm like, oh crap, I was learning that like on Saturday a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
The submission attempts were very tough, man.
So that's what people would love to fight. Love to see. And it's 15 minutes back and forth, but you saw a lot of submissions, you saw a lot of scrambles, you saw sweeps. You even saw a little bit of blood, right? That was,
that was, she was leaking, man. But also too, like it just because you seen what Tubby was doing, like I don't know how the heck her guard retention must be ridiculous, because she was like flexible. It looked like it was like I don't think that girl could pass really, like her guard for the most part. It was just
Yeah,
Brianna, and all that stuff. Yeah,
Brianna's really known for being a pressure passer, being a really strong passer. Obviously, Tubby knew that, so she was controlling the hips, blocking the hips, trying to get underneath, invert, trying to get to her leg entanglements so that start working submissions and stuff. But Brianna looked very strong, man. Yeah, she was very, very strong. But even when she got, when she was on her back, she defended well as well, because Tubby, she's good too in that passing game. But
she wrestles up too. She starts. She wrestles up. Yeah. I went looked into Brianna's like IG, because I'm like, that's she is strong, and she does wrestling as well. Yeah.
Yeah, just got recently promoted to black belt.
Yeah, recent. Yep. Does combat jiu-jitsu also.
Yeah, and she won the trials for ADCC.
Yep, I think East Coast trials, right?
Yep. So she got her ticket to ADCC. So, and she's exciting. She's been fighting a lot. That's
the first time that I saw them. Yeah. That's the first time I saw them fight.
No, yeah, she's been. I think it's like every time you see a fight to win or who's number one or whatever, I always see Brianna's name there. The combat jiu-jitsu stuff, and and obviously Tubby, she's a frequent competitor. So that was a very exciting, definitely exciting fight. I think that was definitely fight of the night for sure.
She had a nice wrist lock attempt.
Oh, that
Oh,
was
did you see
weird,
that?
bro. That was just
Yeah, I
like
was like, oh,
came out of
Mm,
nowhere. That's Diego's
yo,
moves, bro.
bro, that
People sleep
was
on that.
that was nice.
her
That was
wrist
People
is
nice.
sleep on
probably
that.
sore because
When
he
they were
has,
shouting it out, yeah, it was tight.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was tight.
she defended to get out of it, so that was definitely would have been an advantage for sure, man. It just came out of nowhere. It's like I don't even
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it was
I,
kind of like it was like weird how that came. Was she using her head to wrist lock, or was she like it was like kind of
Um.
like strange? She used her passing against her, like it just.
Yeah. I know it's from side. She was on the
Mhm.
side, I
on the
think.
side,
Yeah.
yeah, she was on her back, like grabbing it, like pulling it down. So, which was interesting, but yeah, it's definitely fight of the night for me. I agree with you, Fernando. That was a really
Yeah.
good one. Well, which other fight stood out the most for you guys? That was really good. I think for me that fight we just talked about was great because it was 15 minutes of nonstop action, back and forth. So I enjoyed
Yeah. It
15
was
minutes.
a very technical. It was a very good fight. Out of
Yeah,
all of them, it was the most entertaining and the
for sure.
most display of jujitsu.
For sure.
Mhm.
But there
Like
was other fights, obviously, that didn't go as long that were exciting as
I think
well.
yeah, Rotolo versus
Rotolo,
Jones Leary.
Jones Leary.
that one that one was awesome as well.
Yep.
From
I
the
was
guy
very surprised.
that one was nice.
It's
Because there was a lot of back and forth. A
yeah,
lot of entanglement. This
Mhm.
guy was recovering really well, but
Yeah, his guard
you
is
know
crazy.
you
Jones
know
Leary.
yeah.
it's for me. It
And
was funny
that was
how
a good one.
it's for me. I was shocked how fast it ended. So it's funny because
Yes.
um, they went to commercial because I had just finished watching the previous fight, and I wanted some chocolate. So I was like, I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven real quick. Family wanted some candies too and goodies, and wife wanted a coffee. So I was like, all right, let me go. If I go real fast, 7-Eleven is like right down the street, right? So
Mhm.
so if I come back real fast, I'll still probably make it within the whole commercial span. I came back and the fight was over. I was like,
So,
man, that thing was quick. He got him
Yeah,
quick. So
yeah,
I had to settle for the highlights. So, but I was very surprised because Leary is a really good competitor, man. His Berimbolo game is really good, for him to catch him in the submission, Ty. I know. I mean, Ty is Ty, bro. I mean, he's been
yeah.
amazing for a very long time, but to catch him at this level, I was surprised. I thought it would have gone the distance, but it's
yeah,
amazing.
bro. The thing is that he was putting himself into that. Ty
Mhm.
was putting himself into the guard.
Yeah, yeah. That showed his confidence that he can, like,
He
um,
wasn't trying to like what's his name, Leary. Leary wasn't
Yeah,
engaging.
mm-mm.
I'm sorry, he was engaging. He was obviously attacking, but he was also putting himself into the guard.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
yeah, man, he
Ty's
did a great
such a
job,
great
man.
passer. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
such
did
a
a
great
great job.
passer.
Again a nice display of back and forth.
Yeah,
Jiu-jitsu. You know, but
yeah,
even that, like seeing them stand up a little bit and then go down and do that, that would have been, you know, that would have been nice also, right?
yeah.
But yeah,
Actually
man,
I have the
the
clip.
older fight, the other fights, being standing all the way around, it wasn't a good, you know, I
yeah,
guess balance on that end. This one it was more entertaining because you saw a little bit more entanglement, more jujitsu, more back and forth, more risk, right?
exactly. Yeah,
So it's nice to see how they got out of it. Ty was spinning into the side and neon bellies and all that stuff. It's
and
Yeah,
then
you
that
know,
stomp too. I gotta start
but
incorporating
yeah,
that
yeah,
more. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
great, man.
Yeah,
That's
let me
great.
let me see if I can. I'm gonna share it. You can see this real quick.
yeah. That's the end, right?
Yeah, this is the end, right? And he ended up catching him in the
Was it a knee bar?
knife. That looked more
No,
like a
Oh,
heel
heel
hook.
hook.
Yeah, it looked like a heel hook. Cause
it's
you'll
a
see
heel
him
hook when he spins or when he
right
turns.
there. It
I'm
is.
sorry,
Yeah, that's
when he
it.
brings his leg over. Yeah, over the hip.
Yeah, that was really nice.
When he brings the leg over the hip, he like clamps down on his hip.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
that what does that do? Like basically prevents him from trying to roll over,
So
or
yeah, yeah, isolates the knee completely. Yeah, he puts it right on the armpit. It gets the heel
Like
hook right
he's
there.
like he's isolated above the knee, boom, and he's like,
Yeah,
I gotta work. I don't play that game at all because like I'm scared to blow out my knee. So
it's a very scary
yeah, man.
experience when you start working
Yeah,
the
right.
leg
His foot goes
entanglements.
over.
yeah, I don't like it at all. I hate it actually.
His foot goes over, and it goes next to his head, right? Or
So
underneath
it
his
looked like
head.
it looked more like a knee bar, honestly.
It looked like it, but they said that he had the heel hook
The
when they
heel
replayed
too.
it.
Yeah.
So he went down into like the heel hook. So I guess all that pressure, when he brought
Hmm.
his leg over the hip, um, I think all that pressure was just clamping down, and
Yeah,
you
for
know,
sure. But yeah, but once you start playing the leg entanglement, it's very scary, honestly, because the knees, they give out really quick, right? And you don't feel it. Um, but and the next day, your knee is
Hmm.
swollen and stuff like that. It's very scary, especially when you go with someone who you don't have the confidence that you don't feel like they don't know what they're doing. They're just trying to do what they see on Instagram or YouTube or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yep.
Um, when you go with someone who has a certain level of control and they tell you, hey, you know what, it's fun. It's fun because it's no longer the upper body that you're worrying about, right? You're getting cross face to side control to mount and stuff like that, and going for chokes or arm locks and stuff like that. Now you're really worried about your legs and stuff, and that it changes the mindset. It changes the way you play the game, and it makes it more fun, especially when you have somebody who knows what they're doing. But obviously, you got to be very careful because they hit quick, tap really fast. Honestly, like once I'm in that position, I try to test it a little bit because you still want to see how much wiggle room you have, right? You still gotta know yourself and your limits, but you gotta be very careful. So
Yeah, I mean we've learned that like um and it's scary because like I'm not gonna lie, like getting caught in that position, like I kind of panic because like the first thing I'm thinking is like to protect my knees at all costs because
yeah,
like you guys know I've had multiple knee surgeries over the years.
yeah,
um we did do it. I tried to test it out myself because I was like, okay, I don't feel anything, but then the next day I had a limp for like a couple
yeah. You
days.
gotta
I'm
be
like,
careful,
oh my
man.
god, my knees hurt,
no, yeah, man.
Man, I remember one
The
time I
thing is
was
that you're oh my bad, man. It's because you're attacking the foot. So a lot of people think that it's the foot
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I got
or the foot, ankle, or whatnot, but it's really
yeah.
busting your knee.
It's the
Busting
knee,
your knee,
yeah.
man. You bust your knee, bro. Yeah, even anything, even the knee, even the foot. You gotta be very careful. I was
Yeah.
in a ankle lock position, and I didn't think it was hitting. Next day, man, I couldn't walk, and for a while, for a couple months, I felt that it wasn't the same. It took a long time for it to heal. So you gotta be very careful when you're in those positions. It's probably better to tap right away and just
And
give
reset,
them
yep.
and just reset exactly. So but yeah, so
Yeah.
the next one on who's number one that I wanted to talk a little bit about was the fight with Mikey and the Giant Slayer. I know we
Mm.
were we were talking about it back and forth on the chat, and what were your thoughts about that one as far as that fight?
Uh, did you watch it, Fernando?
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. A lot of like backflips. I guess that's the that guy's game. I don't forgive me. I don't remember his name off the top of my
Esteban,
That's never.
Esteban.
Esteban. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I guess that's his game. Um, you know, Mikey defended well. I mean, he was with the guard. I mean, his guard too is another one that's. I don't know how they can do that for like 15 minutes, like just on your back, pretty much like keeping them at bay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just,
That was a good fight, man. No, as far as Mikey or whatnot, but I think he could have done more. I think he was. If you see his reactions, I feel like he was also not doing as much as he could have because he was. I feel like no, no. I feel like he could have done more. He was just like you know. I don't think it was a challenge for him, to be honest.
I think it's
I
hard
don't.
to
I don't think it was like. I
well.
think he was like at like maybe 60%, probably seventy
Yeah.
percent.
Well, he said he was sick a couple weeks leading to that fight, and he took the fight last minute, right? So
Yeah, because
Because
somebody
even the
dropped out, right?
yeah, not because even the passes, like the passes that he was trying to do, Esteban, he was trying
Mhm.
to do,
those
like they weren't
backflips.
really catching, man. Yeah, they weren't really catching. They were like landing like 3 feet
Yeah.
away from.
Yeah, I'm a little critical about that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is that like he was he wasn't landing the first, and he was landing in the same pretty much or even further in the
It
second
was
or
just
third
for
attempt.
show.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like yeah, like again, I feel like it wasn't the right balance of.
Well,
I'm jealous because I can't do that. So
yeah, yeah, you don't want to
I
do
was
that.
gonna try. No, I'm gonna
You're
you
try
gonna
gonna
it.
try
try to
it?
do the
I'm
backflips.
gonna try it. Yeah,
You're crazy,
why not?
bro. You're gonna land
Nice.
you're gonna land your face is gonna land on his
Right.
foot. Your face is gonna land on his.
Even if I land 2 feet away,
Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I would prefer to pass more. So that's what my criticism was. Obviously, all of that's for Flash for the show and for fans. I mean, but he does do that a lot. I mean, if you look at some of his fights, he does do that all the
mm,
time, and
In
sometimes
both
he's
the gi and the
successful.
no gi, right?
And sometimes he's successful. He's basically like a hardcore scrambler, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all he does is just scramble, scramble. And he's a little dude. He's like 4'11",
4'11.
4'11", little dude.
yeah.
It's basically you wrestling with your child and you're trying to keep him down. And it's hard,
I guess
right?
seeing it from here because he was putting himself in threatening positions.
Yeah, he was putting
He was
himself in
putting
threat,
himself, in
and
and I guess he may feel comfortable,
I mean, I think so, and I think his frame really allows him because he has short little legs. Like
Yeah,
you
low
try to
center
get
of
you try to
gravity.
go for the heel hook, Mikey. Mikey's long. He's long for his weight class, and you try to go for a heel hook or whatever. By the time you control the hip, his knee is like out here, right? You can't. You're too long. You got to
Yeah, I was
really
gonna
like.
say something, but I didn't want to get canceled because I'm like, how do you get the knee above the center line?
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
because
so
it's short. He's got short little stubby legs, and I can say that because we're short stubby people too. So it's not like I'm
speak
offending
for
him.
yourself, partner.
All right, I'm saying though I'm not that much taller than him, but still, but I don't know. I would have preferred to see a little bit more technique in trying to pass Mikey's guard, right? Obviously Mikey has a phenomenal guard, phenomenal submissions from his guard. You obviously knew what he was going for. He still wants to continue to progress and show his ability to be a master of the leg game. So that's obviously what he was going for. Mikey could have easily taken his back. He took his back several times. Easily could have probably finished it from the back. I honestly, but I would have preferred to see Esteban do a little bit more of technical passing. I know it's hard, easier said than done. Obviously, it's Mikey, but rather than just kind of backflipping over and over and over and over again, giving me a headache doing that, I would have, settled, try to go for knee cuts, try to go for my double under. Obviously, it's easier said than done again because it's Mikey, but still, I would have preferred to see that something more technical, a technical approach rather than
yeah.
kind of the flashy stuff. I
If
don't
he
know. I
was
wasn't a
coaching
big
him,
fan.
Hernan, what would your reaction be?
I
Like
mean,
if he was
settle down and start trying to pass, man. Like control the ankles. Stack him up. Try to go for his back. You know, um,
The thing
that's
is
probably what I would be telling him, man.
the thing is that I mean based on the shows, based on how many times like we've seen these matches, um this is why I feel like the gi is a little bit more entertaining at a certain
Yeah,
point, right? After a certain point, there's only so much you can do, or so much back and forth that you can give,
yeah,
right? If two grapplers are giving themselves that, like, hey, I don't want to engage, I'm going to be careful, I'm going to defend, like the Nicky Rod match, again, not to take away from them, but at the end of the day, it's like, all right, in the gi, I'm sure, like, if you grab, you're not going to go anywhere, so now
yeah,
you're
you're
stuck
forced
having
to.
to answer that question right away in a different way.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true
So
because remember too, there's a couple who's number ones. It was Tyro Tolo versus Mickey Galvao. The same thing. Like everybody
Mika,
was hyped for that
mm,
match,
and
and it
then
was
nothing
just
happened.
basically,
Yeah, it was
yeah,
just Mika with his legs open, waiting for Ty to
yeah.
come in. Ty obviously wasn't playing that and was
Hmm.
just trying to pass on the outside, and both of them were getting scolded for not doing anything.
Yeah, that
You
ref
know,
needs to stop because I mean, even though like,
well,
but
he's trying to get them engaged and so that people can see a jiu-jitsu fight rather than rather
But
than
I've
not.
seen that in multiple Who's Number Ones now, because he did the same thing with Craig Jones and Mourinho as well. He stopped them and be like, "Hey, fight," that
Yeah,
type
but
of.
it's again, he's trying to he wants to make sure that the fans get what they came to see. They want to see a jiu-jitsu fight rather than them slapping each other in the back of the neck with the ties, right?
Mhm.
And
And that's yeah.
it's fun to hear it, and you get a big smack on the back of the head, but back of the neck. But at the end of the day,
No,
you,
that thing
you want to
sucked.
see
Again,
jiu-jitsu.
yeah. Again, it's not that they're not fighting, or they are, right?
Yeah,
They're exhausting themselves, and you know, but a little bit more jujitsu is needs to be displayed, I guess. You
absolutely.
know,
But and
so
there was some jiu-jitsu displayed. Jacob Couch, and that was a really nice setup that he got the hillbilly hammer. Did you see that one, Diego?
I didn't see the finish. I think I looked
It
away,
was
or
it was one of those
didn't
that
catch
if you
it.
blink,
Feelings.
yeah, it was one of those
Mm.
that if you blink, you missed it.
Yeah, I
And
mean he's gotten, I mean, a lot better. I mean he's I kind of wrote him off, like, and that's probably my fault. But I mean he's beaten now. This is second. Like he beat Roberto Jimenez, you
Roberto
know,
with the leg lock,
with
yeah.
the leg lock, and now this guy, so he's doing good.
Yeah, no, he's doing really good. You see his confidence going up. Jacob is a very exciting personality. I like him a lot, especially after watching the Daisy Fresh series and seeing his story, kind of seeing where he's come from and seeing what he's doing now. I think he's good for the sport, man. Honestly, he's one of those personalities that you like to follow, and really nice guy. You see him in his interviews. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but just know him from his interviews, and he has that personality that you're entertained both off the mats and on the mats, right? And I think that's really good for the
The
growth
sport.
of the sport, right? You need people like that that can sell the matches while not at the same time not being a jerk, and then show up on the mats and do what he did, right? Garmo's a really tough competitor. I mean, the dude looked mad stocky, really good. Obviously, he knew to kind of play his own game. He's a headhunter. He goes for guillotines. Jacob knew that, but it was a fun match, and he set him up, and eventually got that inside heel hook, and boom, it was done. It was really tough. The angle, you had to see the angle at the right side to be able to see it, and it's one of those, like, if you, like I said, you blink, you missed it.
You see
But
it.
he's good, man. He's finished. He's going there to finish fights, which is nice. So hats off to Jacob for that one, man. That's really good, man. All right, let's take a quick little break, and then we'll come back and maybe just wrap it up with some UFC 270 highlights, and then we'll call it a day. All right, here we go. All right, we're back. Lambas Who Roll Live podcast, and we are shifting gear and going to talk about last night's UFC 270.
I
So
didn't watch it.
you didn't watch it?
No.
There was some pretty good jiu-jitsu. So, and that's kind of what we're going to focus on. This is a jiu-jitsu podcast. We won't focus on the actual stand-up fights. There were some pretty good fights, but jiu-jitsu wise, there was some good stuff that happened too. We did talk about Said
They won.
Nurmagomedov's
They
guillotine.
won with. Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you had the guillotine. That was a good one, and
Like finishes with jujitsu. You got some good like
finishes.
Yeah.
finishes.
Yeah. So see,
Nice.
this is Said. He got him with that guillotine. That was a good one. I think no, he didn't get the bonus. I don't think he got the bonus on this one. Or
That
did he?
you
No,
know.
he did. He did get the bonus. He
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
50 G's. 50 G's for this 47 seconds guillotine. Super
Nice.
quick. Super quick.
Nice.
This
You know, like when you get like submissions, or when you display and finish with jujitsu and like UFC, like that's big, man. Like
yeah.
it's not easy, man.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No.
You're getting punched in the face, you're getting kicked, like all that adrenaline.
Yeah.
To finish off with jujitsu, It's
I
pretty
know for
legit.
sure. No, for
Yeah,
sure. And
a lot of composure.
absolutely,
Because you
right?
could. I mean, if you get hit in the face, you get punched one time. You get. You can always get knocked out, right? Pretty quick. Land a clean shot, but you can't really land a clean you can't really get lucky with jujitsu. I think it's right. It's not the
Yeah, because
same,
I
right?
mean, yeah,
You can't
that's
get a
why I
lucky
don't.
shot, right? It's not a lucky shot like in boxing or Muay Thai, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, because like that's why I don't fight because I think I'll be
Oh,
bad at it
that's why you
because
don't fight.
yeah, I
That's
mean
right.
because it's
It's
an
a
ego thing. Like if somebody
mm,
punches me in the face, I'm not gonna go grapple. All of a sudden, it's gonna be a boxing match because I'm gonna go after you to try to return that punch back to you. So that's why I don't do it because that'll lead me to getting knocked out or something like that. So
That's
that's
funny.
why I kind of like stay away from it because I know myself. And I know as soon as somebody hits me, I'm gonna go try to return fire, and then like I'm like kind of like Cody
yeah,
Garbrandt,
of course.
Yeah.
and then look,
Look what
sad.
happened to him.
Yeah, look what happened to him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. But interesting enough, you're talking about that. Keeping your composure, and when we're in a bad situation, and then using jujitsu to kind of get out of it. That's exactly what happened
Oh,
with
yeah,
Gomez Juarez and the it's kind of I'm gonna butcher her name. Uh, Demopolis.
I would say demo.
Demo.
Yeah,
That was a nice one. So it was a prelim fight. I think it was the second fight of the night, and she got hurt bad. So she got hurt really bad, got
I thought she
tagged
was getting knocked
super
out.
hard, got dropped. I thought she was gonna get knocked
Yeah,
out, and she resorted to her jujitsu, brought her into her high close guard, and the girl left her. Juarez left her arms in. She shifted her angle, ended up getting the armbar, and the 50 Gs. That was a really, really good one. So if you go back and watch that one, that was really good. I'm trying to
Nice.
find it on the highlights, but I can't find it. The only thing I got is a picture, so you gotta see the
yeah.
armbar. Girl left her arms right in, and she actually ended up hooking the leg on her right side. So she took her right arm, hooked the opponent's left leg, and she toppled over and fell right into that traditional armbar position,
Damn,
and
that's what
that's
I'm
where
saying.
she got the finish. And that's where she got the
Yeah,
finish. So
Did you read her story? It's a crazy story. That girl Demo. Probably won't bring it here. It's kind of like it's a family show, so like we could talk about it offline. But check out her story. It's crazy. And then the 50 G's. Help.
that's good.
Yeah, helped out as well. So
was this her
That's
first fight in
cool.
the UFC?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, all right. Because
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't catch that. I caught it afterwards, but I thought in the beginning they had mentioned that she had already some fights in the UFC, but she wasn't really doing too good.
Oh, is it
Um,
okay then? Okay, then I
no,
could
What
be.
but
is
no.
she?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
What what rank is she in jiu-jitsu?
I
Oh, I
think
don't
they
even
said they were
know.
both purple belts,
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken.
higher than me. So
So, but yeah, but she said
They're all white. They're both white belts.
but
yeah,
yeah,
they'll still be better than me.
That'll get Fernando. They're both white belts doing jiu-jitsu arm bars.
but I think in the post fight interview with Joe Rogan, she did mention how she likes to grapple. That she could do that all day, and it showed, right? I mean, she was in a really bad spot, but she kept her composure and she found it, right, and used jujitsu to take the win, which was really good.
Mhm.
So, all right, the last one, which is probably the most surprising out of all of them, was the Francis Ngannou and the
Cyril Gahn.
Cyril Gahn fight, which honestly I would thought Cyril Gahn was going to win the fight
I
at the
did
end of the
too.
day. You know, I think Ngannou had a chance in the first round if he were to catch him, but Cyril Gahn, he played a really smart game, kind of played on the side. Obviously he's more of an elusive fighter. I think technically he's a better fighter.
Absolutely.
Both in his striking, stand up, kicking.
Even
But
grappling too. I thought he was. I think he still had
nah,
the edge.
in the grappling, you saw
This
Well,
was
yeah.
him.
this was
In
decision.
it
Yeah,
was
what
a,
did you
it was a
say?
decision, but the crazy part was Ngannou doing jujitsu. So if you can go back and watch this fight, Diego, man, it's crazy because for the first two rounds, I mean, it was just Ngannou trying to catch him, and nothing was happening. Then all of a sudden, the third round, big, huge body slam, changed the wave of the fight, And now I think he realized like this is the only way I'm going to win is taking this guy down, holding the top position, and that's it. There wasn't any strikes. There wasn't any crazy ground and pound, which I would have loved to see. But there was a lot of control, and I honestly would have loved to see him progress into some more threatening positions, either going to mount right from the half guard going to mount. There were some times where I thought he was going to attack the arm triangle, but he didn't do that, and he looks so big that I think he could have just muscled it, right? But it didn't happen. But I was still surprised to see him transitioning into those positions.
Mm-hmm. And even gone towards the end with that heel hook.
Oh my God! You saw that?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine Cyril Gane, 247 pounds, going for the heel hook, and it looked deep.
Yeah, I thought it was over.
It looked deep. And the funny thing was that after in the interviews, he was talking about how Ngannou was talking about how his knee is busted up, his MCL and ACL is all blown out, and he fought with a torn MCL or whatever. And I would be surprised if that was the same leg that
he got the heel.
That he got the heel hook on. That would have been crazy. But yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get it. He defended well. I would have loved to see him punch out of it though. Once he got his knee below the control point, have Ngannou punch. But I don't know. He didn't seem to realize that was there.
Mm-hmm.
And but he defended. Was able to reverse the position. That scissor sweep was really nice.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the best part of the entire night. That scissor sweep from a 257-pound heavyweight who has no idea what he's doing on the ground. To see that executed, come up, and then start, getting a dominant position from the top, putting him back on his, putting Cyril Gane back on his back, and but yeah, it was a good one. I thought it was a really good one, and that was his ticket to win.
Yes, it's surprising because if you would have asked me early in the day, before that fight, I would say Ngannou's only way to win is by knocking him out in the first round. I thought he'd be gassed, and then Cyril Gane would take him into deep waters and eventually drown him, basically. But it was the opposite, And you're right, that first takedown, because I think it eliminated Cyril Gane's kick. He couldn't do those kicks anymore because he got caught, and that's how he got taken down the first time. So
yeah, man,
it was crazy, man.
So that's it, man. So that was our thoughts. I think that was a good fight. Definitely one that I'd like to watch again just for the jiu-jitsu component of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out the highlights for that.
Yeah, you definitely got to check that out for the jiu-jitsu side. Give him his blue belt. I would suggest give Ngannou his blue belt for that sweep, man. I think if he would have gotten that choke, man, I probably would have. It would have been a good candidate, but obviously he's working his ground game, which is good. He's evolving, but cool. I'm a little surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves, man. If he's out of the UFC because he's been complaining about not getting paid.
That's the real battle now because Dana White didn't give him the belt, and he didn't even do the press conference last night.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
that's crazy. But
so
anyway,
that's crazy behind the scenes. Yeah.
But that's it for today.
All right, guys.
Let's wrap it up. Diego, 10 seconds. I know you got to go.
Just hope everybody has a good week. And have fun today, guys. Thank you.
All right, man. Fernando, last few words.
Same here, man. Everybody, get better, get healthy. Everybody stay safe out there. Also, train. If you don't be like me last week, kind of being lazy. If you feel like that, that's probably the best time to go.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, man. That's definitely the best time to go. So, all right, guys, have a good week. Train hard, train smart. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. 2 weeks with a special guest. So,
all right.
With that said, have fun, guys. Take care. Para siempre.